Rally racing. A form of motorsport where the drivers push their cars to the absolute limits even though they know that at any moment something could go wrong. It is a sport made for not only the most skilled and well put together drivers, but also the most skilled and well put together cars as well. Not many car companies out there make cars that are good for rally racing right off the bat, and that's why it's so special when one finally does. Hi everybody, I am Mark Roden, and this is the deep dive on the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. In the 1970s and the 1980s, a young company called Mitsubishi had a car called the Lancer. This little muppet was built for everyday use, and it was pretty successful at doing that too. But Mitsubishi knew they were meant for something greater. So, like any responsible parent, they threw their little economy car that could barely get to 60 miles per hour into the lion's den, buddy. Rally racing. Now, it may seem like I was about to say that the car did pretty bad then, right? Wrong. Against all odds, this little Lancer was actually doing pretty good, but then they decided the Lancer just wasn't fast enough anymore, so they built an all beefed up version of the Mitsubishi Galant, and they threw that car in there too. By the way, the Galant is such a sick car. I will definitely be doing a deep dive video on that car too, so don't worry. But anyways, the Galant was insane. It was trading wins back and forth with its main rival, the Subaru Legacy, but then something weird happened. The tracks they were racing on seemed to shrink overnight, and lo and behold, they had a problem on their hands. These big, long, that's what she said, cars were having trouble making the most of these narrow tracks, and so they had to make their cars smaller, meaning most companies had to go back to their commuter cars and make some damn changes. And that's exactly what they did. Subaru switched from the Legacy to the Impreza, and Mitsubishi switched from the Galant to the damn Lancer again, buddy. But of course, this, my friends, is planet Earth, and on Earth we like to do a little something called make our fast cars have cool names. So they called it the Lancer Evolution. By the way, people commonly just call these cars EVOs, so to save time, I'm going to be doing that as well. Anyways, the first Mitsubishi EVO was offered to the public in October of 1992, and it was a hit, but not in America, because we never get the cool cars for some reason, and this EVO was not offered in America, sadly. Either way, this new Lancer had so many upgrades to it that made it well worth the price tag to the buyers. It now had racing suspension, little aero bits and pieces to help keep her planted, and a big smelly turbo under the hood, friend. But most importantly, it had a little something I like to call all-wheel drive, whereas the normal Lancer was still only offered with front-wheel drive. All these combinations would very easily make this car a rally monster, and with a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4 under the hood, making an incredible 244 horsepower, this little sedan went from being something that you used to get your groceries in to something that had a top speed of 142 miles per hour in the 90s. It was freaking sick, and they called this motor the 4G63, buddy. This engine would be so damn good that they would actually just use upgraded versions of it for every single one of the generations except for the EVO 10, which was the last one. However, in 1993, they wanted to make it better and add a couple of changes to it. So, they did, and they introduced the EVO 2. This one, to be honest with you, wasn't much different. It looked a tad bit different, but the main thing they focused on was handling improvements. Oh, and they also got a bit more horsepower out of the 4G63, bumping it up to 252. 2 years later, they did it again. They introduced the third gen of the EVO, and once again, it didn't change too much. They really focused on cooling the engine better, and they added a bit more aero upgrades, like more holes in the front bumper, because you can never have too many holes. That sounded weird, didn't mean like that. These new cooling upgrades, and with the added bonus of a new turbo, pushed the power up to 270 horsepower, which is getting pretty close to the gentleman's agreement there, Mitsubishi. You best be careful, son. Oh, also, Jackie Chan liked this car. He drove it in movies he appeared in, and he even owned a couple, so that's pretty cool. But 1 year later, the biggest change to happen to the EVO would happen with the launch of the 4th generation. The Lancer had changed drastically, which meant so did the EVO. It now looked completely different with much larger rear taillights and a higher spoiler. It also sat a bit taller and had fog lights in the front bumper now. Pretty cool. But the main thing that changed on this generation was the handling. Once again, they knew they were making good power. The only thing they had to address was the car's handling. So they added a decent amount of new brace bars to stiffen it up. They added an LSD for the front differential and a friction type differential for the rear. They also gave it some better seats and lighter wheels, but most importantly, they gave it something called active yaw control, hey y'all, which mainly helped with understeer a lot. All of these new features and the added bonus of 6, that's right, 6 more horsepower, which by the way was now at the top of the gentleman's agreement, 276, meant that they started to win some championships finally. The next two generations, the 5 and the 6, were pretty much exactly the same as the 4th generation, but they just kind of buffed out the edges and made it an all-around better car. However, in 2001, they would completely change it again for the introduction of the EVO VII.
Our spirit, our evolution.
This is the EVO everybody knows and loves today, and for good reason. They made it even better. A little company called the FIA had forced Mitsubishi to build a car for the WRC, meaning that they had to follow WRC rules and not Group A rules anymore, which was kind of good actually, because it meant that they didn't need to follow homologation standards, and as a result, they added an active center differential and made their pre-existing limited slip for the front and back much better. This car now handled like Mitsubishi wanted it to from the very beginning, and it was still using that incredible 4G63. All these changes really made the world love these cars more than they already did, and helped them win even more races against that pesky little Subaru. For the looks, it was once again a complete redesign. They dropped all the big bubbly looks of the 4th, 5th, and 6th generations, and made it have a much more sharp body style, which in my opinion makes it one of the best looking Japanese cars of all time. 2 years later, in 2003, they would introduce the 8th generation, and for the first time ever, they let us Americans buy them since they saw how well the WRX was selling. Those freaking copycats at Mitsubishi, man, I can't blame them though. And even though this gen looks like it's another one of Mitsubishi's slight reworks, it was far from that, because they made something called the MR, which are my initials by the way. The new EVO 8 MR was a massive improvement from not only the 7th generation, but all of the other trim levels of the 8th generation as well. It was the one to get. It had a revised LSD in the front, aluminum roof, 17-inch wheels, a 6-speed manual gearbox while the rest only had a 5-speed, new Bilstein shocks, slight adjustments to both the ABS system and the all-wheel drive system, and most importantly, they made the headlight and taillight housings black, buddy. That's right. It was once again a massive success, and so in 2005 they released the 9th generation EVO, and once again it was available all over the place.
Yes!
The EVO 9 truly wasn't much different from the EVO 8, but I gotta admit it did look a lot cooler. However, the most important change in the EVO 9 was they finally broke free from the gentleman's agreement, so it now made 286 horsepower. This is obviously most people's favorite EVO. It looks insane, it's one of the best performing, and it was the last one to be offered with the legendary 4G63. They also made this one as a station wagon for a limited time, and it looks absolutely baller. It's literally one of the coolest wagons of all time right there, but all good things must come to an end, and sadly for EVO, it would be in the year 2007 for the launch of the 10th generation, simply called X, because that's 10 in Roman numerals. The new EVO was by no means a bad car in any way. As a matter of fact, it truly is the best EVO model out there if you don't care about nostalgia or looks. It still had a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, but this time it was called the 4B11T, and it managed to make a nice 291 horsepower while obviously still being all-wheel drive. They also completely redesigned the looks too, since they knew this would be the final generation, and they simply wanted to go out with a bang, which by the way, I think is very respectable. Like, they knew they couldn't keep up with the competition in terms of sales, so instead of watering it down for the general public and giving us something incredibly boring, they gave us car guys one last final legend and completely changed everything to make it the absolute best that they could do. They added so many new things to this new EVO, and most were for the better. They gave it a bunch of interior upgrades to make the driver more comfortable. They added tons of new suspension upgrades, obviously for handling purposes, and like I said before, they tried their absolute best to give us the best engine that they could, even if the 4B11T isn't as legendary as the 4G63. In the year 2014, though, Mitsubishi truly died as a car brand to all car guys out there when a spokeswoman came out and said they will be discontinuing the EVO and have no plans to bring it back. Instead, they're going to be focusing on making electric cars and crossover SUVs. No matter if you are on Team Subaru or Team Mitsubishi, hell, even if you're a freaking muscle car guy, it was absolutely soul-crushing news to hear yet another legend die in order to cater towards what the normal people want, while completely forgetting about us car guys who started it all for them. Mitsubishi, here's one final message to you on behalf of the entire car community. We do not like you anymore. You are the definition of peaked in high school, and you need to come back. That is the end of today's video on what makes the Mitsubishi EVO, Lancer, Evolution, whatever you want to call it, so great. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos I'd see in the comment section down below. Check the links in the description for any of my other social medias or any of my other YouTube channels or any of that great stuff, and I will be leaving a comment down there with my new YouTube channel, where I'll just use it to yap. It's gonna have no schedule, no upload, editing, no theme or anything. It might be video game related, it might be vlogs, who knows. I'm just gonna upload whatever I want to upload on there just for fun. It's literally just gonna be for fun at all, like 100%. So yeah, if you guys are interested, it'll be in the comment section down below. But either way, as you guys can tell based on the title of this video, this is a re-upload. For those who don't know, we restarted our What Makes It Great series, and where I'm trying to take it more seriously again because you guys loved this series. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If you look at the views for the What Makes It Great playlist, almost every single one of them are some of my most viewed videos out there. And even though I do have some like budget car videos that are definitely higher in views for sure, these ones I'm much more proud to make, and the comments are much better, like much more positive. They gain significantly more subscribers than the cheap cars videos, like by double. Like literally, if I make a comparison to like one of these What Makes It Greats to one of my older to one of my like budget cars ones or whatever, like let's say I'll find one that has like 10,000 views, like What Makes It Great that has 10,000 views, and I'll compare it to a budget car video that has 10,000 views, and I'll maybe gain 30 or 40 subscribers from the budget car one, but I'll gain almost 80 to 100 subscribers on the What Makes It Great. So obviously you guys love watching them, and so I decided to restart the series and remake them again. The reason why I stopped in the long run is literally just because I was lazy. I'm gonna be honest, man. They take a lot of work, as you guys can tell. It takes a lot of editing, especially for me. Maybe to you guys, you might be like, well, that's very basic editing. It is basic editing, but I'm really stupid when it comes to editing videos. So to me, it's not basic at all. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to edit the videos this way. And I just got lazy, plain and simple. Like, there's no beating around the bush, no excuses, man. I was a lazy boy. And that's all there is to a lazy boy, and I'm not talking furniture, baby. Ho, absolute banger. But recently I decided, dude, I want to retire my father. You know what I mean? Like, my dad's getting up there, and I hate seeing him come home from work and being in pain and stuff. I want to retire my dad. All right, I want to drive nice cars. I want to live in a nice house. I'm literally still in my mom's basement. Like, I want to stop that. So I was like, let's put the grind to the test. But either way, I have ADHD, for those who don't know, and it drove me absolutely insane knowing that there was old What Makes It Great videos from years ago, like this one, that weren't in like the same area and same like time period as my modern ones. And so I decided to re-upload like around 15 of the older ones. And I know it might come off as just be me being stupid or whatever. I don't know, but it's just something in my mind, man. It just drives me nuts if I don't do it. So yeah, we're re-uploading some of them, but the way we're doing it is every other What Makes It Great is going to be a re-upload. That way it's not just re-upload after re-upload after re-upload until we're done with all the re-uploads. So the next one, even since this one was a re-upload, the next one will be on the Subaru BRZ. It's going to be a new one that we haven't done before, and then it'll be another re-upload, and then another new one, etc., etc. Not every other upload, I'm saying every other What Makes It Great. But I am trying to make the What Makes It Great much more frequently too as well. So like, I upload every other day, and that's how it is. But right now I do What Makes It Great every 3 uploads, so technically every 6 days. I know this is confusing, but I hope you're following me here. But I'm trying to do it every other upload is a What Makes It Great. So every 4 days you guys get a new What Makes It Great. That's what I'm trying to do, but again, it definitely takes some time, and I am still a lazy boy furniture, so that's all there is to it. But either way, sorry for my yapping, 4-minute long outro. That's just stupid. That should not be the case. So I'm gonna end the video here, but thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what other cars you'd like to see me do What Makes It Greats on. The weird ones work for some reason. If you look at the What Makes It Great playlist, my 2 most viewed videos are on the Honda Fit and the Infiniti M45. Like, the 2 most random cars that like no one ever talks about are the ones that work. So if you have a weird car that you want to see me do a What Makes It Great on, by all means. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.